Welcome back everybody, Wes York again. How was part one of that video? Wasn't it fantastic and jam-packed full of information? Well, the next part of this video you are going to love. This is all about agitating the issue. See, when it comes to selling, if you don't create this massive problem, then you can't offer a solution. So this next part is all about making sure we generate and we agitate that issue so your solution, your product or your service is on the top of your client or your prospect's mind. You need to make sure you put yourself in the best situation, and the way to do that is to make sure that we have that issue and that agitation and that problem sorted. So this next video is all about that. I want to make sure that you put money into your back pocket, and I'm going to keep talking about this because this is what selling is all about. When we do the right steps and we make sure we put the client or our prospects, their features and their benefits at the forefront, then we create a fantastic relationship with our client. However, we still need to understand there's that process. So ladies and gents, enjoy this next video. I know you're going to love it, and make sure again, take your notes. You've now read the book, you've now seen the first part of the video. This second one is absolutely brilliant. So guys and girls, thanks so much for listening so far. You're going to love it. Make sure you share it with your friends, and have happy days selling over the next week or two.
Now, the one last step on this little part of the psychology of the sale is what I class as the dominant buying motive. Has anyone heard of that terminology, the dominant buying motive, or their hotspot, or there's a lot of different terminologies about it? What this is the main reason why someone is going to take an action step. Now, we've got up here a whole heap of emotional reasons why someone should take the presence pack, so to speak. But one or two of these is going to be far more important than the rest. So it's important that when we are talking with our friends, our families, and anyone who are trying to help and get involved with Isagenix, we need to actively listen and make sure we understand what their dominant buying motive is. And then I've got down the bottom one here, which is information confirmation. So let me just try and give you a small example here. And I'll just use me as an example. Let's say, for example, I was 100 kilos, I was unfit, unhealthy, but we're having children and I wanted to be fit. Someone said fit for the kids, run around the kids. That was a big thing for me. So Crystal came to me, which I didn't know then, but she came to me and she said, you know what, Wes, you need to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I'll do it 100%. She would have had to hit me all the time, running around the kids, making sure I'm fit. But then she needs to follow it up with, you know what, Wes, so what you were telling me, let me just make sure I've got this correct and clear to help you out. Your most important thing in your life is looking after your kids, and you want to be able to run around with them and get your weight down and help health. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Wes? Now this does a couple of things. The people that you're talking to, they understand that you listen, which is the most important part, because then that gains a lot of trust. You actively listen to the person telling you, their heartaches and where they need help, because it's really hard for people to man up, so to speak, and say they need help. But the challenge is, because we do this so often, we get used to the same story, so we tune out. Because we talk to people so often about what Isagenix do, or what our products can sell and do things like that, we listen to what they're saying, but we don't fully engage with them. So by the information confirmation, you actually have to actively listen and engage those clients. So that's one of the biggest parts of this screen that you need to write down your notes. is if you make sure you always do your information confirmation, you've had to actively listen. And just flip it around. When you became part of the Isagenix family, if the person that you were talking to didn't actively listen, how would you feel? You just tell them your story, told them about your life and where you need help with, and in their mind they're thinking about a process of what they need to do, and they've missed some of the information and missed some of the conversation, you're not going to feel great, are you? So just make sure you always put yourself back into the client's perspective, and that will also give you that gauge of what you need to do. Pretty cool? Yeah. All right, let's liven this up a bit. This is my favourite part. This is where Crystal said to me, how good's Crystal? I was going to tell some really funny stories about Crystal. Yeah, I know, but she can punch pretty hard. No, I need that again. Yeah, sorry, I'm just about to use that. Sorry. Everyone can see that there? I'll do that? Okay, come back to use that. Yeah, I was going to have some funny stories about Crystal, but she does punch really hard. And then she slaps really hard too. No, I won't do that. Alrighty, but what you did say was, you know what? Be careful on this screen here because of the fact that, you know, we sold timeshare for a lot of years. 15 years I've been selling timeshare for, and that is the extreme of selling. Who's been to a timeshare presentation in the past? What were your thoughts? Get out of here! You know, it's actually really funny. When they say, you know what, when you say that you work in timeshare, it's like the conversation killer. But what I've actually then done is use that to my advantage because there are some fantastic sales skills that you learn out of timeshare. Basically, we don't need to go as hard as what we do with the timeshare strategies. And I said, look, I totally agree with that. And I totally understand that because the clients that are coming to yourselves, they already have a problem. But what we do need to do is we need to agitate it a little bit. And over the next 15 minutes, you're going to understand the importance of this. And we get a lot of times, you know, but I'm not a salesperson. It doesn't matter whether you're a salesperson or not. This is a very, very critical part to your process. But what I am going to do, I'm going to use an example of... Actually, I'll do an example for myself of my product. Who here at the end, who in here thought that maybe at the end of this I was going to ask you to purchase something? Put your hand up. Good, I'm not going to let you down, I will. Who wants to come and help me out? Go on, come up. Just flip this over. What's your name again? Gordon. Help me. Good to see you again. You need a pen, mate. Actually, I'll use the pen this time. I'm just going to ask you questions. Alright, can you just tell the crowd what you do?
Crisis management consultant.
Doesn't that sound awesome? Crisis management consulting. That's absolutely a fantastic title, isn't it? What sort of crises do you get?
We just help businesses respond better to anything that knocks out their business or takes it down.
And you gave me an example before of one of the test pilots you did. What was that?
Cyclone simulation in North Queensland.
So a cyclone simulation for North Queensland. So what they actually did was they tracked, which cyclone was it that you tracked? So they tracked Tracy from 74 and they got it exactly on the path and the story went for a bit, but absolutely phenomenal. Crisis management, fantastic. Alrighty, this is where I'm going with here. And this is where the agitate needs to come in. However, you don't need to be hard, you don't need to be rude. When I use the word agitate, who feels or who thinks in their head that you need to be tough, you need to be mean, you need to be rude? Who thinks that? It's not at all. You don't need to be. And I'll explain why. Okay. So Gordon, with sales, have you done much sales before? Not really. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say at the end of today you choose to come along and take my package that I'm going to sell. And I teach you how to sell pretty well. In the next 12 months, not factoring in at all what you earn at the moment, how much more money do you reckon you could make with some decent sales training in the next 12 months? So, can you just have that in a bit of a figure, please? Okay, so let's just bring that back a little bit. I actually had someone say 400 grand the other day. Let's say, for example, that in the first year, because you're still learning, let's bring it back to something. Let's say you could earn an extra $20,000. Now that could be just in introducing a few people, purchasing some products so that you don't have to pay for your products and use that money, and then them spreading out their wings a little bit more. Who in here reckons that if they had some decent sales training, that would be a reasonable figure they could see that they could earn on top of what they're doing now? Excellent. Now, after the first year, so that's year 1. How much do you reckon you earn in year 2? You've got a bit better. Your down line's probably a bit wider. How much do you reckon you could do in year 2? Let's just keep the numbers round. Now let's say, for example, that Gordon doesn't do any more then. He doesn't expand, and let's just keep the numbers really simple. So for the next 3 years, he earns another 40K. So how much is that over a 5-year period? Is that right? 180 grand. Who in here could see that is feasible? Easy, isn't it? What are you going to do with that money? Lifestyle. Travel, experiences. Where are you going to go?
All over Europe.
Have you been there before?
Yeah.
Wow, whereabouts?
Studying in Slovenia for a month.
Wow, you're an interesting bloke.
Yeah, last time I went back, I did 10 countries in 35 days.
Anyone hear that? He did 10 countries in 35 days. Can we get the microphone up here? Ah. Okay. So who in here, what would some other people do with their 180 grand? Invest. Say again? Reinvest. You know, send their children to great schools and get educated really well. There's a lot of things people can do with that money, yeah? What was that? Okay, let's ask this question though to Gordon. Okay, let's say you don't do my training. And you don't get the skills in selling. In year 1, how much on top of what you earn are you going to make? Who would agree with that? Yeah. What about year 2? How are you feeling anyway? Are you feeling really motivated? Only earning 5 grand?
Yeah.
Hell no. We're in church, aren't we? Okay, what about year 2 then? What are you going to earn in year 2? Okay, so you're going to earn 8K. And let's say we do the same and keep the numbers consistent. So how much is that then over 5 years? 37 grand. So the difference, we'll just round it up, is 140K. So my question then to you, Gordon, is what's my program worth to you? Well, it's not. Perceive value, but it's not, because you also have these skills for the rest of your life. Correct. Because your skills don't stop after 5 years, do they? No. You have those skills for the rest of your life. So I'll ask that question then again. What's my program worth to you? Who knows? The number is different for every single person. Oh, it's not. He said $500,000, the program worth $500,000. But the number's immaterial, because every single person is different. It's priceless. So then my question then to you now is, at the end of today, if my program was comfortably affordable, Do you want to get involved with it?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, it doesn't have to be hard, does it? Was I pushy? Not even close. I want to help him. And the reason why I need to go through these figures and agitate that problem a little bit. Did I agitate the problem a little bit? Because I said, if you don't get it, what's going to happen? And that's why it's so important with what you do as well. Thank you, Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate
It's
it.
almost like the cost of not doing it is what, like,
The cost of not doing it is
just simply not an option, or
simply not an option. That's fair, isn't it? And that's what you want out of it.
and the time's going to pass anyway.
And the cost of doing the program is cheap for the reward you get. See, this is the thing. Thanks, mate. Cheers. And the reason why you need to agitate your clients in Isagenix is for a number of reasons. How many times do you get to the end and you say that your presence pack is $590, right? I can't afford that. Do we get that? Okay, first of all, our process was wrong. But then, they're sitting there on their trolley, going in Woolworths. Oh, Optifast. So listen, let me give that a go. And they throw that in the trolley and they go home and it sits in the cupboard. And what happens? They jump on the scales a month later and they're heavier because they haven't even opened it. It's true, isn't it? And the reason why you need to agitate it a little bit is so they don't go to your competitors. And here's the next thing. A month later, they've got Optifast in the cupboard, it hasn't even been opened. They're around a table at Friends. Oh yeah, I looked at that Isagenix thing. How was it? I don't know. But I bought the Optifast, how'd that go? I don't know, I didn't use it. So what it actually does, it creates a bad name for the whole health industry. Because the process of agitating your future prospects, your future clients, we didn't do it well enough. And all I'm using is their information. And that's why you don't need to be hard or don't need to be rude about it. I'm just taking what they have as an issue, whether it be weight, they need weight loss, or whether they need to reduce cholesterol or whatever, and I'm just going to push that and pull it a little bit. Because when you've done that, the ability to take an action step is a lot easier. Let me use another example. Because what I'm trying to get at here is, price is never the objection. Price is an excuse. So the better we can agitate the issue, the less price becomes the issue. Who gets that? Who's get what I'm saying here? Okay, let me use this as an example. It's a pretty hard example. Who's got kids in here? What's your name, sir? Tony. How are you with heights? You're pretty good with heights or not? You're pretty good? Alright, let's see how good you are. So Tony, he said he's good with heights. So what you're saying, Tony, is if there's like just a beam, and you had to walk across the beam that's about that wide from here to there, you could do it on that height. So it's about this high. Pretty easy? Okay. Let's say, for example, that beam was the roof height. Could you walk along the beam that's about that wide? I'll take that as a yes. Let's say, for example, it was double the height, and it was windy, and it was on hard concrete, the ground was hard. What about for 100 grand, would you do it? What about $1 million? Okay, so you do it anyway. Okay, we'll take workplace health and stuff. Okay, so let's say, for example, 20-storey high building. From one building to the next, being that wide, for $1 million. Take workplace health and safety out of it. Would you do it? Probably not. Your kids? Okay, let's say, for example, on the other side of the building, There's a really nasty man, had one of your kids hanging over the building. How quick would he get across? Straight away. Because price isn't the issue. He said he wouldn't do it for $1 million, but you make the emotion high enough, he's going to bolt across there and get across there, isn't he? And that's where the process comes in with agitating the issue. You make the emotion great enough, price becomes immaterial. And what you guys have here, girls have here, is you have an emotional product. You just need to agitate it a touch more. Everyone get that? Everyone's silent, that's me, that's a good thing now. Yeah? Alright. Initiate exchange. This is where a lot of people have issues. Who in here struggles to ask for money? A few. Okay. My 7-year-old daughter has no issue with asking for money. So what happened between then and now? What was that? So this is, who in here, when you ask someone to purchase the presents pack, they turn around and say they can't afford it, they don't want to do it. We've all had that, right? And usually, when do you get the objections? At what stage do you start getting objections, or the majority of the objections from your future prospects, your clients? At the end. You start to get your objections in general cases when you show someone the money, right? So what we need to do is we need to extrapolate those objections before we show money. Does that make sense? Because once you've shown the money, you've thrown all your bullets out the window. So therefore we need to get those objections out before we do it. Hey Ryan. Thanks, man. Okay, so this is what I do, it's really easy. So Ryan, I'm in the conversation with Ryan here. So with what you've seen with, say, Isagenix here, you like what you see? Okay, can you see how you're going to lose your weight and look fit and trim and have heaps of sex and things like that? Can you see how it's going to, see how easy it is to use? Okay, let me ask you a quick question. Apart from the money, put the money aside, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to become part of the family today? And that's what you get when you do all the process right. So when I turn around and say, hey, it's only $590 a month and let's rock and roll with your life and change your life and get into sex and reduce, your body fat and all that sort of stuff, it's so much easier to get that yes. But what it does allow you to do is when they say no to you, or they give you an objection, because people just don't say yes immediately. When they give you that objection, it's really easy to sit there and say, I get what you're saying, I hear it, and I agree with it. So you always agree. And I'll go there, no, it's not, different slide. So you agree with it. When would the right time be? Because they've already said they'd buy it if they can afford it. So then everything's out of the way. So now it's just a matter of timing. Okay, when would you like to get started? So you don't have to go through trying to combat their resistance, because the resistance was already broken here.